Started.
Io cerco di essere sempre lista. Provo il mio mejor de fare la Global Trotter. Perfecto, ¿están listos? ¿No?
Sí, estamos listos. Ya pueden comenzar.
Bueno, so good morning to everybody. So buenos días, of course. On behalf of Camera Moda, so today we have the second session. And the second session today, it's starting with the collection development, implementation of Made in Italy. So today I'm very honored to introduce you Castor Fashion because it's a really unique Italian company that started so far, evolved with a new business model, which is really unique in the order landscape. And here, let me introduce you Margherita Guerino. She's the business development strategist, and also Eleonora Casaletti, and she's the PR communication. So, Margherita, Eleonora, welcome. Today, you have the honor to be connected with the most exclusive and compelling organization of entrepreneurs from Mexico. As we talked so far, for you it's New Mexico. I love Mexico, so I talked to Margherita and Eleonora in such a wonderful way. Now it's your stage. Please, Eleonora and Margherita, introduce yourself. You can start with your presentation, and then we will do interaction. Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Orietta, for the introduction, and thank you for having us here. It's really a pleasure to meet you all and to talk about, our company. Our company is based in Italy, as you know, in the northeast of Italy, in a city called Mantova, which is very close to Verona. It's a company that started off as a family business, and it's been created by Angela Picozzi, who created the company with the help of her parents, who are Graziella and Mario. So Mario used to be an amazing tailor from Naples. So who knows all the secrets of how to make menswear and women's wear clothing at the time. And then he started being a technical figure who has been working for Giorgio Armani, for so many companies in Italy, where he actually completed his kind of, profile. And Graziella, she is a pattern cutter, but she has been more than that. She's been a talent scout. In fact, she was the first one who actually produced Martin Margiela, who is a very famous designer, as I'm sure you know. And she is really she had an amazing vision, because at the beginning, Martin Margiela, no one wanted to, to go with his vision, but she created this world with him. And after Martin, she's, worked with so many designers like Enrico Coveri at the time, at the very beginning, Dolce & Gabbana. So a lot of, very important designers who have been working for to create their own collection, but also to create Graziella's collection. So basically, when Angela, the daughter, started working in the company, she created this new business model, and I actually joined too. And so we decided to have this company that had two souls. One is offer services, technical services to major fashion houses, and also having a little fashion incubator where we would work to establish and create new business for startups, designers. So basically, and this is something that really, it's really, as Orietta was saying, it's really, really unique to find in a company, because we have this amazing and huge knowledge on pattern cutting and on technical details, on how to, all the development of the product that we do and that we have been doing for major fashion companies such as Chanel, such as Valentino, Fendi. Now we work with Thom Browne, Gabriela Hearst. So like very important designers. When they started, they were very, very small, and we nourished them, you know, with our knowledge in order for them to grow. And then, of course, we also have this division where we would, you know, help startup designers, offering them what is the most important part, apart from design, for them, which is like a structure where they can, you know, rely on deliveries, on making the clothes, on the best suppliers of fabrics they need to find and to work with. And then, of course, also distribution, because at the end of the day, you know, distribution is also very, very important. Of course, as maybe Eleonora can also explain, we also have extra services like marketing, PR, communication, and this is what makes really, really important this kind of, you know, new business model that Angela created in Castor. I don't know if, you know, Eleonora wants to go like in more depth of what we do, so she can also explain, you know, her point of view as well.
Of course. Thank you, Margherita. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. As said by Orietta, I am PR and Communication Manager at Castor Fashion. We handle like an in-house press office. We are able to build like a strategy online and offline for all the brands we work with, especially like for our company and for our in-house brand, which is Mantoux, which is the expression of our, you know-how from inside the company. And we can do like all kind of digital, online and offline strategies. For example, we can handle all like the event planning part, digital strategies such as social media or websites, e-commerce, which is like nowadays like the most important part of the communication, because it's important for a brand and for a company to communicate online, which is now the first channel in which you have to be like present. And then a big part of our job is also like the content production, which is super helpful in the sales department, which could help the sales, like build the campaign, visual campaigns, not just for social media, but also for customer, in order for them to understand the mood of the collections, all the garments with technical images, and of course video, everything that could help the client to understand like the full collection. And basically, that's the whole project inside, the whole vision inside like our communication department.
As you can see, we also offer like administration and logistics services. And so basically, Castor offers services from A to Z, let's say. So we do, like, for example, when a company contacts us because, you know, they want to be supported, we can offer fabric research, then development of the sketches that the designer send us. So basically the designer send us the sketch and explain the vision and what they would like to have in terms of volume. And then we have a project manager that actually convey all this information to our pattern cutter. We have a pattern cutter who works on the mannequin and pattern cutters who works on the table and then on the video, in order to industrialize the process, because, you know, it's so important to create poetry, but at the end of the day, we want to create a business. So basically, every garment that is made in Castor is beautifully made with the highest standards in terms of, you know, fabrics and manufacturing, but also needs to be produced in an industry as a you know, to be sold in the stores. So basically it needs to be worn by a woman or a man, whoever. We only do women's wear for now, but you know, we know the importance of making something that actually can be worn and can be you know, used, because at the end of the day, we create luxury, but luxury needs to be timeless and you know, usable in a way. Also, after the pattern cutter, of course, we also do production, and we work with made in Italy. So we have laboratories who work mainly for us in the north of Italy, and then we have some in the south of Italy too, depending on the categories that you want to develop and the let's say the quality you want to achieve. Of course, we only work with high quality standards, and we are highly ethical. So we only work with laboratories that are they do things by the law, and they have like people working there in good conditions. For us, it's very important. But also we offer a made in Europe a production, for example, where you have maybe higher minimum to achieve, but at the same time, you have like in some categories, you can be a bit more competitive price-wise. We have project managers who work with each client that we have. And also we have a production department who is very flexible and always updated. So we can always find a solution in terms of making and cost. As I said, if you want to go for a made in Italy or a made in Europe production. So after that, of course, we offer, as Eleonora was saying, commercial strategy services. So we have a huge network with designers, with showrooms, for distribution, and we do it ourselves, of course, as well. And then we have marketing and communication, as Eleonora was saying. And then, of course, we go through all the process, which means certifications for fabrics or certifications in order to deliver outside of Europe. So we know that there are, specific regulations now for the Middle East, for Russia, for any other country. So that it's so important for, of course, the US. And so we support in that too. And also we offer logistics, quality control services. So it's all like really the whole circle. We do it all basically. And it's, very, very, we are very passionate about what we do, and working with, many countries. We know how important it is to understand each other, to be flexible, and to be there, because for nowadays, it's so important to offer a good service to the client. And this is what we try to do every time, we are in contact with a designer or with a company. Doesn't matter if it's a big company, it's a small company, we offer the same standards, and we're always grateful to, work with everybody, because every time you learn. Also our pattern cutter, every time they work with a different product, they learn a lot of different things, how to deal with, different techniques and, embroidery and garments. And this is really our secret, because we see so many things, then we can implement our knowledge and know-how and give it back to, the client that approaches us.
Excellent. Can I just start me as well for a couple of two questions before to leave the stage to everybody. So now I think everybody understands why I consider Castor Fashion really particular, because it's a manufacturer. So it's a manufacturer, supplier, you can say, production company, even developing prototypes in a very artisanal, technological way. Let me say that. But in the meantime, it's also a B2B showroom. It's a B2B showroom. That means you can develop your collection, you can produce your collection, and you can also have sales activities as a B2B. But in the meantime, you also have the communication, because this typology of business model need to have a marketing strategy to support. And then in the meantime, we also have your mono brand, which is Mantu. So this means it's also a mono brand that it's positioning in the most beautiful store in the world. In the level, it's really the highest standard level for Italy. In how much time you transform, this is a very big question, in how much time, which means in how many years, you transform from a supplier, manufacturer, to a 365 degrees company?
Well, we actually, when we started off in 2003, we started with actually producing a brand called 6267. That was the first one who won the Who is on Next competition with Franca Sozzani in Milan. In order to fund this collection, we created the model that I was telling you about. We need to find funds to sustain this startup. How can we do that? We had the know-how, we had the pattern pattern, and we had, our skills. So we decided to create this B2B business. So we offer services to big companies, okay? So basically, one of our first clients was Chanel, who had a problem with the fit of the pants. So they came to us, because one thing that I need to really try to make you, to show you, is that we don't do production only. We only do production based on the development of the project, of the pattern that we create, because every company has its own way of, of translating something into a garment, but it's so important, the work behind the project, so we only produce what we develop directly. And so Chanel came to us. They had an issue with the fit of the pants, and so we studied for them how to solve this out. Okay, so we did this project for 6 months, and that helped us, with the startup project that we had, the company, the designer that we had, and this is how it started. And then from there, of course, the world has changed so much, where sometimes the designer that we had was struggling, to succeed in the market. At the same time, we would get more B2B clients in order to sustain and to make sure that our company could continue the cycle, and so basically it's a juggle, I don't know how to say, but basically now, since 2008 and 10, we started with Mantu Collection, which is our in-house brand. And then of course we also have extra brands that we support, but this is our really, we say in Italian, punta di diamante. I don't know if you understand, but for us, it's so important for...
Can you repeat again? Punta di diamante.
Sì.
How can we translate?
It's like the diamond. The most important
iceberg point. So just let me underline this. So you created Mantu because at that point this became your brand. Maybe I can ask to Claudia if you can share inside of the website on top. You can click in-house project, in-house brand. Sorry, scusami Margherita, così. Questa è la punta dell'iceberg, is the iceberg top. Questo è Mantu.
So for us, it's so important because, first of all, this allows us to be in the market with our own brand, knowing how the market reacts to that, and also our clients, like our production clients, come to us because they see our brand, they see how it's made. A lot of designers, they travel the world and they want to discover something new, to see the new finishing, to for research. And we had so many contacts because of Mantu, because Mantu still a niche product, very high luxury product that we sell in the best boutiques around the world. So we are like in the States, we are with a multi-brands boutique that says Dior, Alaya. We are in Neiman Marcus. We are with Cashmere and Silk in Russia. We are with Takashimaya in Japan. So with the Harvey Nichols Group all over the world and in the Middle East. We are with Aisht in Lebanon. So in the best point of sales all around the world, because this is what talks about Castor. So it's a brand, but it's also a tool for us, a tool for a final client to discover our quality, and also a production client, you know? So a client who potentially needs some help, potentially needs support on the making of the collection. So this is why, you know, we have Mantoux, and we're very proud of every Mantoux, and you know, we hold it tight, and we want still to be like a niche, because it needs to be like something that you need to discover.
Correct. My second question is, you talking about, you have several laboratories in Italy spread in different area. As everybody knows, in Italy, we had the big changes, even in manufacture, because we are not fast fashion. We cannot compete with prices. We can't, because it's impossible for us. So we need to elevate and just work in the concept, prototyping in a very good way, and production, but for very exclusive pieces. How can you ensure to find new laboratory, to protect the laboratories that work with you, to give enough job to them, to be sure that they are your partner rather than just working sometimes? How can you deal with this?
Okay, so first of all, as you were saying, Orietta, we are a small company. Castor is made of 75 people. 70 of them are women. So you can imagine the craziness that can go in around in this company. But we are very well structured. So we have, for example, our in-house software IT department, because all the processes in Castor are totally driven by that. And it's a software that we developed, and that sometimes some of the clients we work with buy from us in order to develop their processes. Because these, for example, this software can count the hour to make a garment, can track the garment, has all the database of the fabrics and all of the accessories. So it's very, very spot on. And of course, it also works for sales, you know, it's a tool for sales, and also for shipment and for administration. It can give you like an invoice in 3 seconds. So, you know, it's very important. So we are very well structured in order to make sure that we have these labs working for us. We do two things. First of all, we have a production manager who is always on the go, always checking the conditions of the labs. As I said, for us, this is very important, especially when you work with the US, you know. The US, since the beginning, they've been doing auditioning in our companies, you know, in Italy, because they need to work with people who can show them that you treat people working for you in the correct way, you're ethical, you use the garments that are certified, fabrics that are certified. If you go to China, for example, there's a totally different regulation, you know. But with us, for us, it's super important that we relate to these standards. Not only because the client asks that from us, but because we are very serious people, and we do not compromise our image or our know-how going and working with, you know, lower standard facilities. Also, we have been having a long relationship with these laboratories. During the COVID, when COVID hit, it was a very difficult time. But, we always make sure that the schedule of our work would have an impact on these labs. So as I said before, we have a big structure. We have a merchandising planning manager who at the beginning of every season has all the plan for the following 6 months for our labs. So we book the space with them, and we make sure that we give them the work they've been promised to receive, and this gives us the how can I say, a good, the best angle for us, because at the end, they know that they can relate and they can rely on us, because they can trust us, because our word is always very, is the one that, will be always true to them.
Now you said another topic that it's interesting as well. You said you need to be careful about several typology of regulations. Maybe we can, what this means in this regulation. You said Emirates has some regulations, China has other, USA has others. So how can you mingle around this aspect?
Well, yeah, as I said, all the people working for Castor are constantly updated with the regulations, because we work with all over the world, either with clients from Lebanon or clients from the US, and then we ship garments also all around the world. So we know that, for example, for the Middle East, now there's a regulation for which you need to certify the fabrics, same as for Russia. So we may certify fabrics every season according to composition and also according to the category. So also when we do, for example, we support for a merchandising collection, we know already that we need to be careful to certain, details that will have an impact on the sales. So, and also on the shipment. And so, this is how it works with us. We're always on top of things. Of course, we make mistakes, that happens, but at least, we know how to react to that. And so, this is how we do our job. Yeah.
Thank you for this. So I think I want to ask to Arturo or the participant to interact and make some question. Because me, I have every time I meet Margherita, I ask something, and every time she has a news in the company. So that's the reason me as well, I was curious to listen the updated informations. Se tiene preguntas, perché esto è veramente una eccellenza italiana, questo è proprio un esempio di eccellenza italiana. E poi tutte mujeres. Cioè tutte donne, mi piace.
No te escuchamos, Arturo.
Ah, ecco.
Excelente, perdón, el micrófono. Abrimos el micrófono a preguntas, si no, yo tengo un par de preguntas que me gustaría dejar al final para darle oportunidad a que las personas o los participantes, si tienen alguna, de una vez la pongamos en la mesa. Okay. If don't have to, if this woman don't have a question, I have one first question. What would you be the first 3 tips for a startup to be a supplier like a Chanel? What is your secret? What is your 3 first tips?
Say it again, Arturo. The tip to have a client like Chanel, you mean? Okay. So first of all, Chanel contacted us because Angela's mother was very well known in the market, in the industry, and so they wanted to have the best Italian manufacturing, artisanal manufacturing, and fit company that can work to to support them with that problem that they had. And so there was a connection there, you know, because things that they just don't happen from night to day, you know, we say in Italian, it doesn't happen like that. Of course, you need to have some connections. And, you know, being Graziella, an amazing pattern cutter, and she's been known by everybody. Of course, you know, they contacted us for that. But for example, every day we get contacts through by designers because they saw our collection, as I was telling you, you know, they saw Mantoux and they're like, what is this? And they checked inside, they read Castor, what is Castor? They go into our website and they check what we do, and they start, you know, to contact us like that. And but it's really about you know, when the client looks, you know, physically what we do, they understand immediately that we have a know-how that is not so easy to be found nowadays. And then, of course, you know, it's also our job to create networking, and you know, and of course, that's another part. So that is so important. That Eleonora also deals with it very well. So yeah.
Yes, I know the contact is very important for the first tip. Okay, it's great. Ok, no sé si alguien más tenga alguna pregunta. La verdad que es muy interesante la forma en la que está operando esta empresa, que es una empresa de mujeres, como la mayoría de nuestras industrias, es una empresa. Okay, I translate in Mexico. In Mexico, the major people who work to the garment industry is by women. It's around of 16%. The people work in this industry in Mexico, and it's the same. It's similar with the composition with your manufacturer. It's great. Ok, no sé, aquí es muy interesante esta parte que nos está comentando. La verdad que es muy importante que visualicemos de qué manera podemos ir visualizando desde nuestros negocios, cómo podemos ir, cada quien conoce la realidad de sus empresas, de qué manera o cómo podrían plantear para poder aterrizar este modelo de negocios a las grandes marcas. I have a question. I don't know what, in your vision, what is the more important, focus in the niche or in the large market? What is your vision? Because in Mexico, many manufacturers focus in the large market, the big production, and don't focus in the niche. What is your vision in this point?
I think that, you know, we are very open, you know. First of all, our number one rule is to answer to any request and meet everybody who contacts us. We don't care if it's a big designer, we don't care if it's a small designer, a startup, whatever, we meet everybody because it's about experience, you know, it's about meeting people, it's about talking so that you learn every time. So basically we worked, I was mentioning you the most important brands because then you can relate very quickly, but we also been working with very small brands. Orietta for sure remembers when we were working with Koliak, for example, for the shoe collection, remember? That's a very small designer that, you know, very good one. She started off with the shoe collection, and then we developed a ready-to-wear collection with her. And the ready-to-wear collection, you know, was sold in Le Bon Marché in Paris, in Tmall Luxe in China, like in amazing stores around the world, you know. For us, it's about the connection and that you can create with the person in front of you. And of course, we need to believe in a project. That's the most important thing for us. So we don't care if we want to, you know, if you approach us and you're just a small designer or you're the biggest designer. For us, it's always important to meet everybody. And then if we believe in the project, we go. Sometimes, you know, it's a good thing. Sometimes we are wrong, and then we help the designer, you know, develop some other ways, because that happened too. Because, you know, it doesn't mean that we are always the correct fit or the correct match, but at least, you know, we can, you know, help out in a way.
Ah, very interesting. And I have my last question. It's about of your laboratory. Laboratory is fantastic. It's very great idea. But in the system, your system is similar to the digital twins? Is similar, or is a platform developed for you? What is the laboratory? Can you speak more about this topic, please?
not too sure that I understood correctly. So you want to know more about our relationship with the external labs we
Okay.
work with, right?
Come sono i laboratori? Io ho capito così, how the laboratory are structured, com'è la tua relation, anche which is the structure of the laboratory.
Yeah.
Cioè,
Laboratories can be very artisanal, made of 3 to 4 people, or they can also be much bigger, you know. As I said before, for us, it's very important the relationship that you have with these people, because it can be a huge structure, huge meaning like, I don't know, 40, 50 people working there, but you need to have the relation with the person who is in charge with that. Same thing when it's a very small lab, of 3 to 4 people, because maybe they do like very beautiful embroidery that you cannot find anywhere else, but still you need to have the connection. You have to be in contact with them and establish a personal relationship, but also a very more professional one, you know, because at the end of the day, we talk about business. Even if they're small, they need to, you know, be reliable, produce, and deliver the way for the standard and in the timing, because now, Eleonora is gonna laugh because I always say that even if we can make the most beautiful bridal dress that you can make, doesn't mean anything if you deliver it 2 days after the wedding day. So everything is so important, and all the steps need to be aligned.
Okay, it's fantastic. Ok, no sé si alguien tenga una pregunta, la verdad es que está muy interesante este modelo. Yo creo que es algo de lo que tenemos mucho que aprender como industria. Abrimos el micrófono para las empresas que ya quizás aquí se les ocurrió alguna pregunta. Adelante, por favor.
Sí, yo soy Brenda González.
Brenda, bienvenida.
Gracias. Margarita, a very interesting topic that you have talked about. And one of the topics where you were specific, I have a question, a very good question, I think, because you talk about identification of competitors and market category research. So how do you reach this? How do you know where you need to go, or how do you know where you need to find or to look for, to identify these competitors and the market category research?
Molto precisa, come fai la ricerca?
Sorry, I'm sorry, but I just had a blank, screen, so I didn't listen to the last.
Vuoi te la ripeto, lei ti sta chiedendo praticamente come fai una ricerca, dove vai a cercare le informazioni per capire come muoverti nel mercato, quali sono le direzioni.
Okay, so basically, our main tool to do that is to be present in the market with a collection. Once you have a collection that is sold in all these points of sales in all over the world, because every region, every country has different needs, different fit. For example, another thing that I didn't mention before, our way of downgrading and upgrading the sizes is not done by computer, it's done by hand. Because sometimes, first of all, the Asian market has different proportions to the rest of the world. So for the Asian market, sometimes we create different lengths, different fit for the waist, because that is so important too. So basically, when you have a collection in place in all the countries, you know what to look for.
Okay, so this means that you need to be like a special company to identify the needs of your market, right?
Yeah, of course. It's important. As I said, our model is very specific, and it's kind of unique because of that. The fact that we are active in the market with a collection makes us understand, sometimes the problem that, or the issue that sometimes a brand brings to us and want us to solve, so.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to add one part. If you look on the website, you can see that Castor Fashion has a showroom in Milan. Yesterday we talked about multi-brand showroom. So Castor has a showroom, which is a B2B showroom. So they present Mantu collection, which is their in-house collection, and they also present the other collection. In that case, they receive buyers, so retailers buyer from all over the world. And that for sure, I guess, Margherita, it's a good point, because they come to see Mantu and they also give their opinion. So that's the reason Milan, it's an international place where you receive information from all over the world. You have people from Lebanon, Middle East, US, South Africa, China, South Korea, and everybody request, look, give opinion. And this is the biggest and most quality research, I guess, because this is not quantity, it's quality. And it's a word of mouth. Può essere così? Ho provato
Absolutely, Oretta, perfect. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. And also, we have a permanent showroom in Milan, but we also have a temporary showroom in Paris, because you know how the fashion works. So we also need to be in Paris sometimes, so 3 to 4 days to meet all the buyers who traveled there first, because then of course everybody has his own needs. They start with a budget from Paris, and when they go to Milan, the budget maybe is gone. So there are so many things to take into account. And in Castor we have the possibility of approaching the industry from different angles, so from fabric research to the distribution to logistics. So we know all the peculiarity of this industry. So we try to work in a circular way so that we can prevent and we can approach the market in the best possible way.
Por aquí hay dos personas que quieren participar, Andrea Marrufo, y también hay levantada una mano, Sociedad. Yo leo Sociedad.
Perdón por el nombre.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Perdón por el nombre. My name is Jorge. Thank you all for being here.
Go ahead.
I form part of a company named Bravo Uniforms, and we are in a different segment of the market. But I'd like to ask to Castor and Eleonora that we were looking your amazing designs. They are very lovely, but we noticed that they are mainly for women. And we work with a lot of hotels, with international hotels also, and we noticed that there is a trend of inclusive designs. I don't know if you have looked into it, and what are your view into the future about this inclusive design, because we have already changed different garments in order that also women and men can wear it like in similar ways. What are your point of view with this trend? It is a trend, or it's something that it will only remain in specific industries?
Mantu, let's start before, because Graziella and Mario started their business from the menswear. So some pieces from Mantu collection have like a menswear base. For example, our coats, our jackets, they start from a menswear model, and then they develop the style in a more feminine way. So I think we have like a mixture of male and female styles inside the collection. Also, sometimes we have this kind of oversized shapes, like modern shapes that can be also worn from like a male figure, not just female. The collection is for sure like a female collection, but we have some styles that can blend in like a more genderless and more neutral way. Yes.
If I may, I would like to add, for example, we are a consultancy with Antonio Marra's collection, who has been bought a couple of years ago by the Universe Group, which is the group that owns Calzedonia, Intimissimi. I don't know if you're familiar with the group, but basically they have women's wear and menswear, and we deal with the collection creation for ladies wear, but we also do some menswear they have, because as Eleonora was saying, we develop in such a way that we can do like a unisex fit as well. Also, I was thinking about Mexico, and I'm not too sure, but there should be like an hotel called Maroma Hotel by the Belmont Group, the LVMH group. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's a group that started having like boutiques in their luxury hotels, and we sell mantou there too. So we try to find new channels as well, you know, not only the wholesale, not only the retail, but also, you know, we try to target our clients, our high profile clients directly in the space where we know we can find them.
Very interesting, this aspect. Yesterday we were talking about new business model where the brands are targeting hotel. So this is also new for me. And also thank you for the genderless style. I want to also to respond to Jorge. The genderless style, it's something that is growing, has different way to be interpreted, honestly, in fashion. It's not only related to gender, sometimes it's also related to dress in a way where you don't express exactly your gender, which is very, very strong in Asia, and we call oversized, but Asia influencing a lot the fitting of many different type of garments, that now the boundaries between what is the correct size for the correct body fit change it. Margherita was talking about the importance of pattern cutting. So the pattern makers used to have a very strict regulation in how to make the measurement, how to fit a body. But now we change the perception of the body. It's very completely changed. So it's also the traditional way to do pattern makers. It's coming to be completely different. I tell you my experience with some East Europe designer that Margherita knows very well, from Hungary in this case. We noticed that their pattern makers and that manufacturer has a touch which is a little bit 1970s, 1980s in Europe, which was wonderful, but the body shape was not our contemporary body shape. I don't know if I can explain in a precise way, but sometimes the client, they feel it and they think, this is not my fitting. I don't wear in a good way. So that's the reason as Camera Moda, we involved at that time Castor Fashion to help us to give this information in which are the quality standard that the contemporary consumer want in the pattern making. Spero di avere toccato un discorso complicato. Ok. Grazie.
Thank you very
Mariana.
much for your answer.
Mariana.
Yes, hello. Here we're thinking about here we're thinking about if it would be possible for you to explain a little bit or show us a little bit on your tech packs or your drawings, your silhouettes. How do you manage this, like from a drawing, and how you put the specifications for, you know, sewing or embroideries, or, you know, to make the whole garment?
Okay, so we don't have it here with us, but basically this is and also we don't work for that department, specific department, but just to make you understand, basically the designer draws the sketch on paper, okay, then speaks to our project manager, and normally they meet either in Castor or the project manager meets the designer at the atelier, or sometimes they just send, if there's an ongoing relationship, he just sends the drawing by email, and then they do like a Zoom call, and he or she, the designer, explains to our project manager exactly what he needs, okay? The volumes, which kind of, you know, cut, where to, and so puts all these specifics on the drawing, and then our project manager speaks with our pattern cutter. Then after that we create a prototype, normally in a fabric already selected by the designer, or if we don't have the fabric that he selected because it's still in the making, we use a fabric that it has the same composition, so that it can give the correct, you know, volume or shape that it needs. And then the designer come to our factory and we do a fitting. So we have a model and we put the garment on the model and we check how it went. And then, of course, from that, it's still a creative process, because the designer can say, well, you know, I think that it's better to have another cut here, or we can do this kind of finishing here. We can add up something else here, make it longer, make it short, do, you know, and do so many other things. So normally, before getting to the sample, we have 2 fittings, and then we reach the samples. Again, you know, I don't want to, you know, say how good we are, but normally it's kind of easy for us to get to the sample with just 1 fitting, you know, because we know already our clients, or we know what they're talking about. You know, we try to be very specific. We try to stand to their aesthetic. And of course, we also have our project manager is not just a technical person. Actually, the project manager, normally our project managers have an education that comes from a fashion background. And then, of course, they implemented it with technical information and, you know, on the field. So this is how we try to convey the most of our creativity. Also, the pattern is creative too. And the good thing is that we work with so many different brands, like, for example, Giambattista Valli or Thom Browne. These are 2 different brands. One is very, you know, severe, conservative, a lot of construction, jackets, and the other one is all about Georgette and beautiful dresses, very romantic, but still the pattern cutter is the same, which means that she is exposed to so many inputs that you know, create an amazing vision in her, you know. So
yeah, thank you very much, and it's cool to say how good you are.
Sorry, I just, you know, we are very passionate. We love our, you know, what we do, and we try to, you know, share that with you guys, hopefully today.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
E io credo che stava visto, vero? O tiene una...
There is another one here, Orietta. Andrea Marrufo has a question. From sketches.
From sketches.
Go ahead.
Okay, from sketches to a line of production, how much time does the process take? Molto precisa, questa non la so rispondere, questa è vostra.
It really depends, you know. As I said, okay, let me think. Normally, for example, now we are planning for the next resort SS25. Actually, no. Let's do the example of nowadays. So we are gonna be having the collection ready to be sold around the 15th of January. And we started off with fabric research and all the sketches and everything. Let me think. Let me check the date. I would say 3 weeks ago, beginning of October, to have the collection within January.
Wow, super
Then,
buono.
and then, of course, it depends on the project. Because for Mantoux, we are going to be starting with a capsule collection because we will be starting selling in the States. So they will be receiving the collection at end of November, but it's just a capsule, so only a few pieces. And we started off, like, again, beginning of October. So we can also be quicker. It depends on how many pieces is made of the collection, you know, on so many things. But like for Antonio Marras, for example, that we starting their sales mid of Jan, and we started working on the fabrics and everything for main collection 2 weeks ago. I hope this is what and I was looking for.
Grazie. Io direi grazie. Io credo eccellente. Ho imparato questa parola che adoro. Thank you. I'm very thankful for you both, and I understood that there are several questions, but of course, Margherita, Eleonora, we will have also a session in presence next year, April 2025. I know there are so many things happening from now to then, but let's stay in contact because I think it would be also nice to visit, to come to Mantova. Why not? I put it on the table and then we will see. Thank you very much. Now we have to close your session because we are starting another session also talking about sustainability. You talked it briefly, but the next session will be really about the digital passport, made in Italy digital passport. I knew that it's something, it's the topic right now for everybody in the market. So will be another compelling talk. Grazie Eleonora, grazie.
Thank you so much.
Grazie mille Eleonora.
Grazie a voi, buona serata allora, ci sentiamo
Muchas gracias.
Grazie.
In bocca al lupo e speriamo di vedervi presto in presenza.
Perfetto, in bocca al lupo.
Certo, grazie, ciao.
Grazie.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Devo imparare in bocca al lupo, come si dice? Non si dice.
Buena suerte.
Ah, è vero, buona suerte, buona suerte. Todo bien? Can we proceed with our second session? Because I know these 2 hours are always intense, but I like to introduce you the next guest. I think they are already connected.
Yes, here we are. I'm here. Hi, Arietta. Hi,
Pietro.
everyone.
Hi, Pietro. Ciao, Pietro. Pietro is now it's Italian, connected from London, living in London. So he's one of the few Italians that can live in UK. So that's very, very funny. And also we have Iris Crummy. Oh, welcome. That she will be the co-speaker with Pietro today.
Thank you. Hi,
Fabulous.
Fabulous. Where are you now, Iris? So we can also allocate everybody.
Yeah, I'm actually now calling from Amsterdam. Also Italian, born and raised, but yeah.
Oh, wow. You have a very, also you
No,
have
Italian. Yeah. Yeah,
Perfect.
so originally my parents are Albanian, so that's why.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm happy to introduce you. We have Fariba Gallardo, Director of Camera Italiana in Mexico. We also have Arturo, and
Hi.
I can see all the participants. They represent the main organization in Mexico, as I already explained to you, in textile manufacture and apparel manufacture, they have their own brands. So we already shared these topics, but I like it to introduce as well. I decided to involve with the team of Camera Moda. We decided that it was interesting to talk about a very compelling topic today, which is really, let me say, traceability, upcycling, recycling, sustainability, digital passports. Let me just say a few words in a technological way, because as we met before, an important manufacturer, everybody understands that to protect, preserve, and also follow the quality standards, sustainability is one of the most important matter. So for this reason, Italian industry need to have the support of people like Pietro and Iris, because they really work beyond the scene to make this a reality and to explain to the final consumer why a product, in this case made in Italy, but could be also exported in other types of made in, it's truly authentic and it's respecting all the regulations. So I'm zip up. Now I pass the stage to Iris, and then after her, Pietro, and then they will explain and talk with you about their matter. Grazie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Netta. I can take it first, and then we can go. I explain the process of what is going to happen today. So first of all, we're very glad and excited to be and to have the opportunity to be here with you and to present to you what both our companies, because both Iris and myself represent two startups that are very active in the space. Let's start by giving a little bit of context. Every year, the fashion luxury industry burns more than $200 billion worth of products. That's a big issue. It's a massive issue from a sustainability standpoint, right? So for this reason, the European Union has introduced a new regulation for traceability of products that touches many different areas and many different verticals. One of these, of course, is fashion and luxury, of course, as well. That has the scope to, solve or, get close enough to solve this issue, right? So as part of this regulation, there's the introduction of what is called a digital product passport. Iris and her organization, she'll be explaining in a second all the details of a digital product passport, but to make it simple, we have an NFC chip or a QR code in a garment that points to an external page that gives you all the information about the traceability of a product, everything that you have to do in order to take care of the product, what happens until, the end of life of the product as well. So all these components then will create a digital passport. It's not that easy, to put it together. That's why Iris with their organization created a fantastic solution she will like in a second. And there's another part of the regulation that talks about the extended producer responsibility, meaning that you need to take care of the product until the end of its life cycle, right? Because we want to avoid waste. And on that front, so when it comes post-sale, then there's our organization in Sovoltic that takes care and incentivize certain behaviors so that we can track the product until the end of its life cycle. So now what we'll see together today is first everything that happens in terms of traceability with the fantastic solutions that Iris and her team have been building, with also an amazing case study. We'll then talk about what happens post-sale, with an eye of how this can help and sustain the Made in Italy label as well. And so the Italian ecosystem as a whole. I pass it to Iris, and thank you again for the opportunity for being here with you today.
Grazie, thank you.
Thanks, Pietro, and also great introduction into the landscape of why digital product passport is being introduced. A quick introduction of also Renewed. So as I mentioned before, we're actually an Amsterdam-based company, but currently we're working actually with dozens of companies also outside of European borders, because the digital product passport in itself It's now, of course, it's becoming a mandatory tool for companies that are wanting or are already operating in Europe. So by 2030, it's expected that any product that touches the soil in Europe, it will have, like, you cannot basically sell any product without a digital product passport attached to it. With that said, there's also Europe digital product passports strategy and vision that it's also connected to United Nations. So it's not only just a European legislation, but it's also a vision of how, in our digital era, we can connect to products and we can let consumers connect to the products that as brands we produce and we sell. With that said, our team has been active in this space now for 4 years. We started with different build-ups of technology. And today I'm super excited to share with you an example of Don't Up. Don't Up is actually an Italian brand that is one of those original brands that have sort of shifted from a traditional brand in the 90s, and sort of how do they also now iterate and include, they basically transformed both digitally but also sustainability wise to the end consumer. We met the Don't Up team now a year and a half ago, and their challenge was that post-pandemic, they grew quite a lot as a company. They're currently doing more than 70 million in revenues, and for them also it was a challenge because they had started to include and insure all of their production that in the recent years was offshored, and they wanted to actually have a third-party platform that would allow them to trace their supply chain, to collect more data from their supply chain, and then be able to tell a story to the end consumer. So I'll start actually with the end story, and I'll show you the integration that, for example, Don't Up made into the digital product passports. So for example, if you open their website and you scroll on their website as an end consumer, you'll be able to find basically next to the find your size, the end consumer can actually see the digital product passports and basically map out the journey of that product. So specifically, for example, with this case, we worked a lot. So we are now working on their third collection. And with the first couple collections that we did, for example, with the company, was a lot about structuring the data that they have. I also understand that maybe different brands also have different needs, and that's also where we help sort of companies really understand what's best to do. With a lot of companies that are smaller than Don't Up, it's an easier process into traceability. For larger companies, it is even more complex. So for them, it was also about creating that final explanation to the end consumer, and really creating a documentation for themselves, but also to the end consumer. So for example, specifically, I'll show you an example of the different documentation inside of the tool that then they can show to the outside customer. The type of information can be very granular, so it can go in terms of claims and documentation really at the scope level for each specific product and each specific batch. And the information that it's out here, it's what we call the first, indeed, introduction of digital product passports. So this is the first versions. The company, outside of also just having this, of course, having this information on e-com, which is actually a plus, they have added this information on QR codes. So as they explain in their own sort of story of the digital product passport that they've done together with us, in each and every label, so both hand tags and label inside of the garment. So the label where that it's sewn inside of the garment, the care label, the QR code is there, so the user can always scan it and see that information. With them, also, we took them through, now we're going through a journey of also granularity. So if we look at what does, for example, the legislation requests and asks. The legislation, as you know, right now, the digital product passport is actually part of a legislation called ESPR here in Europe. And the legislation was passed already, so it's already in force since this summer, 2024. But now the European Union is creating standards, and for the textile industry, they will be ready by end of next year, 2025. So while the standards are being created, and our team currently, we sit on different consortium that is sort of really also helping the European Union understanding what kind of information should be there, how should the infrastructure and on architecture side also be, who can then access this data. So at this point, of course, as I showed you, for example, in the Dondup case, you don't really see the exact name of the supplier. It's more of a story of a product, but what kind of information and how would they be shared to the regulator as well, so there could be additional checks being made on the regulatory side. And then what is it that goes into the front end? So currently what we've done is also help the brand basically create a story that it's connected to the brand, and also start to connect to their supply chain. So with them, for example, on the tracking on the supply chain, it was crucial initially to do this on an SKU level. And currently we're launching together with them on going deeper. So doing batch level traceability, and also implementing more automated systems. So inside of the tool, and for them, it was also, of course, a step-by-step process, because they're a bit of a more already they already have a framework as a company, so for them it was important to take this step by step. But for example, for smaller companies that we work with, it's easier. So another use case that we have from a company, we just implemented their direct suppliers. So they, by just adding the data of their direct suppliers through our tool, they can basically kick off a waterfall chain. So basically from the suppliers, the tool will automatically help them map out the further chains throughout, until raw material suppliers. So basically this is more or less like the journey that companies go towards, depending on the size that they are. And then in terms of information that goes out and how it goes out to the end consumer, currently that is also based on brand, and it will remain the same, with of course the nuances of the regulations that are coming next. But still, like this connection to the end consumer is fundamental, and that's also where we currently collaborate also with Pietro and Baltic.
Very interesting. Really, really interesting.
Fabulous. Maybe we can pause here if there are questions, very specific questions to digital product passports and how it works, because I appreciate the fact that it's a very important topic and have many different angles from which it can be taken. So not sure if anyone in the room has questions for Iris.
Anybody just making, maybe I try to put some question, and I think, of course, as I noticed, so you started to do these activities because this Italian company, and also you was being approached by a company that now for them is crucial to achieve this regulation, because European community impose a regulation, and every company now need to find a way, need to find a solution. Otherwise, they will be not, let me say, eligible to sell. So which is the approach you have with the company? How can you work with them? Which was the, let me say, the barrier in tracing all these aspects? Can you just tell us some beyond the scene?
Yeah. So the key challenges for companies are more internal, and that's also where for us also initially was crucial to sort of really help them out navigate that. And by what I mean internal is that especially in a project like this, that if you compare it to GDPR and like cookie banners, so this is digital product passport is not just a cookie banner, right? So it's not just something that you put on your website, you activate it, and then it's a pop-up and the consumer says yes and you're done. It's actually, it really touches so many aspects of the company. You have to think about the product, how also on the eco design side, and also this part of the legislation that's also coming, because the legislation will require also to disclose information on water consumption, CO2 consumption, so LCA-based scientific calculations. Like for example, you haven't seen on Done Up yet, and the brand is currently working on them together. The second is the fact that it's not just products, so then it travels into how you actually integrate it into all of the IT processes and your systems that you currently have. So it could be the website, it could be your product storage. They could be stored in a PLM, they could be stored in an Excel file. So how do you navigate that? And then of course, second, it's finance, and finally marketing. So also the marketing side. And so for Dundup's case, for example, for them, all this team had never sort of like really spoken about this topic. So sort of really helping them coordinate all together, all of this, and sort of getting this information out of their sustainability and production team, that was like for them the key challenge. And we're still like helping them, to be honest. Like it's not something that you just change overnight. So you really integrate it into their processes. So it takes at least like a couple of years. And so that's why also a lot of companies, especially in Europe, but also worldwide, that's what we see in terms of also transparency to end consumer, but also for their own transformation, because we're talking about also being future proof here. They're starting already because they know that first of all, they also want to be first, as this also can create an advantage in the market, but also because indeed realistically it takes time.
So I was just smiling a little bit because I can imagine Italian company, medium big size. So I can imagine, who is the person, in your opinion, that internally has the biggest power to convince everybody? Because it's not that easy. Is that the owner, is a marketing team, is a sales team? Who is this person, in your opinion?
It's usually the person that has also holds the vision of the company. So in some cases we see it's the owner, in some cases it's the CMO. We see a lot of also CMOs that sort of see the vision of the brand being in that direction, and then a lot of it follows, and it also creates a lot more traction when there's like, we see a difference also when who is like leading the project and how impactful it can be inside of the company. But usually indeed it needs to be like a person that holds the vision for the company.
Yes, thank you for this answer. I just wanted to share with everybody. More and more, most of the Italian company now, they need to open a new division, which is a sustainability division with a CSR, so a CEO of sustainability, research and development. So now we have more and more this new profession, new profile, and the team, the internal team, it's a team that works only in the sustainability matters. Could be in manufacture, could be in design, could be in sales, could be communication, could be on the structure. And this is the reason also CNMI created a program to educate and to do this, let me say, this program to have this new profile. Because if you try to find this new employer, you don't find it. It's just growing right now. Did you notice that maybe internally some of the meeting, maybe you were even teaching to the other one what's happened, which are the regulation?
Yeah, 100%. I think there's also a bit like sometimes we are we try not to be too much like the bad guys, because also a lot of the CSR teams or sustainability teams, this is not what they signed up for. So a lot of them are also not really keen on all the regulation because it adds a lot of admin work. So a lot of the time also we tend to like explaining to them that this is really the reason also why they should let technology do the work for them, instead of and still keep that creativity part in being a sustainability person intact. I think, of course, the reason why a lot of sustainability teams were born here in Europe was also to sort of lead the strategy on sustainability, and a lot of the work that they're now being demanded is to comply to some of the regulations that it's making, like just by the fact that if when it's voluntary, you can decide based on your vision, and when it's regulatory wise, you first also need to understand the regulations. So that's a different job than actually the one that they had before. So yes, definitely.
Now I think a question for both. What's the approximate cost to implement this new era of customer content? I think Pietro knows, and so also Iris. Which are the costs that a company needs to add?
Go, Iris, take it, and then I'll start talking about my side. Go for it.
What are the costs? I would try to see it as an opportunity as well. I think it's really I would see it more indeed as an investment that can really return back. So that's also a lot of the work that we've been doing, also specifically, for example, with Dondup, right? So helping them understand how consumers click on the DPP, how much of this information they read, how much does it impact also their top line in terms of like direct increases in average order value on their e-commerce, and other metrics, right, that are connected to it. And this is, I think, where a lot of the solutions, like for example, also the solution that Pietro is working on, can actually really help make this what is just like, it could feel like a cost, but then it can actually become really an investment that you make.
Yeah, and I think there's a great asset for me to start chiming into what we do at Voltic. First of all, I'm Pietro Novelli. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Voltic. My background is in tech. Previous to Voltic, I was working for Facebook, where I was responsible for e-commerce, fashion, and luxury in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Then 3 years ago, I came up with the crazy idea of leaving my job at Meta and launching this company. And so far, I'm very excited about what we've been building. So going back to the question, to the cost, look, 3 weeks ago, I was in Florence and meeting the Ferragamo management, right? So you have, on this call, we had Iris talking about the fantastic solution that she's building. She has one of the most successful companies in the digital product passport space right now. So if you're thinking about digital product passports, that's definitely one of the best solutions to reach out to. So you also have the link there. On the other side, while having conversation with the Ferragamo team, and with any company we speak to, really the perception is sustainability is a cost center, right? So when we go and speak to these companies, most of the times, when you go and speak to the sustainability team, most of the times budget is not really there, right? And it takes a long time to actually convince, convert, and go in full-scale implementation, to support the implementation of such an important solution that is fundamental for the evolution of the way we work. So that's why we took it as Voltic from a slightly different angle than what Iris does, to complement each other. So we have solutions that complement each other. So now imagine that now you have every product that would be sold and will touch soil in the European Union will have either a QR code or an NFC chip. What it means is that every single product now can be absolutely unique, right? And while being unique, there's a new opportunity that we can unlock together, which is connecting that specific product to its customer. So in this way, I can know exactly who my customers are. How many products are we selling? I give the statistic that I usually share in conversation with clients, which is that given the 100% of distribution of products that usually a brand has, usually 30% of products are sold through channels that the brands own. So we're talking about, their e-commerce website, their boutiques, and so on and so forth. And for this reason, they can still capture the customer information. Well, 70% goes through retailers, distributors, and external partners. Like, let's think about the Yux net-a-porter of the situation. What is the issue? The issue is that Yux doesn't tell brands who their customers are, because that's why they're special, right? That's why you should go to Yux and partner with them, because they have a massive customer base. Thanks to the technology that Iris implements on products and provide the information that she provides about sustainability, we can now instead create a connection and allow brands to connect with clients through every product purchase, creating a unique connection between the product itself and the customer. And we use blockchain technology to make it happen. So what does it mean? How do we translate this in simple words? What are the benefits? To give you an example, we can provide insurance for theft, loss, and damage of physical products. In taking care of the product until the end of its life cycle, of course, we want to take care of the product also when it gets damaged, right? What if we have an insurance coverage that covers damage, that pays the brand to repair the product for the customer, so that we can extend the lifespan of the product itself, right? Another interesting ways of looking at it is at seeing products as a communication channel. I was in Dubai last week, and Orietta was there as well. And I was on stage with Cavalli, Breitling, Aspesi, and other very cool brands. And while talking about Voltic, what I mentioned was, how many products do you sell per year? 10, 1,000, 100,000, 1 million. Imagine if each and every single product you sell becomes a communication channel for you to communicate with your customers. Because you own a specific product, or you spend a certain amount of money with me and with my brand, I can give you discounts. I can give you access to exclusive events or experiences that are tied to the product itself. When we were in Dubai, there was the first person opening the day during GITEX, which is the biggest tech conference in the world, was Nick from Shalhoub, right? And Nick was talking about Shalhoub, by the way, is the biggest distributor of fashion and luxury goods in Middle East. They own more than 450 brands, including Dubai Mall. Okay, so massive, massive, massive player in the region. And Nick was mentioning the shift in perception of consumers, that now more than buying products, or luxury products, they go and buy experiences, right? That represent the product. And so you see these big luxury brands and fashion brands investing in hotels and restaurants. Why is this happening? Because there's a shift in consumer behavior, right? And what is important for consumers. But what if we can tie those experiences into the products themselves? So I give you an example to make it also practical and see what Voltic looks like. This is our technology, right? So when we integrate, imagine this is your website. When we integrate on your website, we install a digital vault. Every time that a client buys a product, they find it in the digital vault, right? And then I can access now one of my products. I can see the valuation of my product in real time. From here, I can access the digital passport information created by Iris and Renown. I can deliver rewards and experiences and benefits to my clients. So because you buy this product, you're invited to the Luxury Innovation Academy. We have blockchain data, but they can access Reaper service. How do you handle the Reaper service for your clients? Everything can be concentrated and managed at a product level. So we know exactly what product sold when to who, needs a repair. Or I can transfer the ownership. I want to resell these beautiful shoes to Orietta. How does Orietta know that these shoes are authentic? The certificate itself serves as a proof of authenticity, so that Orietta doesn't have to trust me anymore that the shoes are authentic. She trusts the certificate. And this, again, is integrated then to the digital passport and has a unique connection between the brand, the product, and the customer. So unlocking a new era of connection. At the point there that right now we're discussing with the Italian government a very interesting initiative. While we have the regulation for digital product passport being enforced in the European Union by 2027, not 2026. We have another big problem in Italy, which is fake made in Italy. Our label, the made in Italy label is copied, right? And not all the products that have made in Italy, the made in Italy label, are actually made in Italy. So we saw, together with the government, I was speaking and I had a conversation in Rome more than a month and a half ago with the minister of Made in Italy and the entire board of this opportunity. While we're tracking the supply chain of every product for every brand, now we have an opportunity to also tie this back to the Made in Italy label and making sure that every product that has a Made in Italy label with a digital product passport can be fully certified. So you don't know only the supply chain of the brand that is certified, but also that label that represents an entire country and an entire ecosystem. Imagine how important this is. 12.4 billion euros per year lost by the Italian ecosystem just because the label is faked. So that's why we created the digital certificate for Made in Italy that implements, supply chain transparency, ownership information, rewards and benefits, and authenticity and protection. This is another example of how to look at this from another different angle, right? While we have all the single brands and entities and all the players that have to play their role, in being more transparent and providing information to their customers, if we look at this together as an ecosystem, we can generate even more value and generate value not only for the individual brands, but for an ecosystem that then at this point is a country, and we're talking about Italy. And this, of course, can be replicated, the same approach and methodology in Mexico, for instance, as we're having the conversation today. So a couple of examples of value that can be delivered, beyond, the point of, we have the sustainability angle for digital product passports. We take them, we tie to identity. Now we can connect to every customers, get data back, turn the regulation into a revenue opportunity, and generate value for an entire ecosystem.
Super. Thank you, because I see that you can manage the website much better than the other one. But thank you very much for these two insights, and I really have a couple of considerations to make it, because Pietro now pointed out a very important aspect. All the entrepreneurs here and also the president of the organization, but also the Camera di Commercio Italiana. So what's the point? How Italian industry is preserving Made in Italy. So this is a really, really great example. The minister that Pietro is talking is D'Urso, because I also did a big project with him a few months ago talking about the meaning of Made in Italy. And he also created the Day of Made in Italy. He decided, since we celebrate the days of the mother and the days of the father, the days of cat, the days of what else, he said, we need to celebrate the day of Made in Italy. So it's working on this matter to position Made in Italy in a trademark in a very particular way. But of course, to the other side, you need to protect. You need to have protection or regulation. You need to know what's happened, because counterfeit is our biggest problem. It's our super biggest problem for luxury brands, but also for premium brands. Dondop is not considered luxury, but it's considered a high premium brand. And Italy has many premium brands, maybe more premium brands than luxury brands, we can say. And they are a fundamental part of our ecosystem. So this is the reason it's urgent for us as an industry. And of course, this is an example for hecho en Mexico, because also made in Mexico, it's a plus to have artisanality, to have authenticity, to have regulation, to respect the people, to have the ethical aspect. When Iris was presenting, it was also the ethical aspect. There are so many of these things. Maybe some of you ask, okay, it's something like if I want to buy an e-commerce or if I want to buy a physical store, I can make a choice. No, this is not a choice. This is the rules that European Council decided we need to follow. This is law. We say in Italy that when you have a law, you have to follow. That we cannot skip with that. And also before, in the previous session, we listened that most of the international customers, in this case, could be stores or consumer, they ask for this. Otherwise, they don't buy our product. So this is another very important aspect that we as Italian, we need to do it. So for one side or the other one. That's a little bit my comment. What do you think? Can we also share with maybe the CANAIVE organization, maybe Arturo, or here we have Pietro and Iris, we have brands that are known in Mexico, known in North America. So they more or less face the same problem of Italians. When I say more or less, because they have a domestic consumer, they need to face international crisis, and then China is coming. There are so many different aspects that I heard so far in Italy, but then Italian has to say, okay, let's do that. Rimbocchiamo le maniche. Let's see if there are some comments. I think you were so precise. Fariba, un commento da parte tua, perché Fariba rappresenta, she represents all the Italian companies and brands, not only in fashion, but also in several of the products that Pietro presented, in watches or...
No, I don't know, maybe Arturo and also the people that are here.
Oh, I begin with a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, okay. Yes, of course. What is impacting this regulation? Of course, has a very impact on the international trade. Of course, this regulation is to Europe community, but what do you think? What is the regulation for all over the world? Because in this moment, only to the European community is very specific to this regulation. What is your opinion? What is the impact for the whole world?
You want to take it, Aris, in terms of who's going to be impacted?
Yes. So the digital product passport, it's impacting various industries, and basically the European Union has created a list of priorities, because the legislation is now the one that has passed is general, and then for every specific product category there will be specific rules. So who will be impacted will be basically every actor in the supply chain until basically the product gets to the hand of the consumer, in different ways, in the sense that the actual the actual company who sells in the market that specific product has to ensure that that product has a digital product passport. And then specifically in those category and those priorities, textile and fashion. So all the textile products, those are part of the first batch of groups that has priority number 1. So those will be the first to be impacted. And maybe because some of you also work on footwear will come second. So
I have a question for you, Iris.
Go ahead.
I'm putting myself in the shoes of the audience. So I'm a Mexican company. You know, am I impacted if I want to sell products in European Union?
Yes.
Okay.
Fabulous.
Well, I have another comment. For example, I think the sustainability is very important for the whole world. For example, the World Customs Organization in this moment is making some chance about to take into account in the uses of sustainability in the world trade. What do you think about of this chance? I don't know if you know this chance. If no, it's very important because the digital password is very important for make this measuring, in my opinion. But I don't know if you know this chance in the custom organization.
So Arturo, your question is, what is like the connection with sustainability with the digital product passport, right?
No, it's the connection. Has the connection with the new regulation to the some regulation for the World Customs Organization.
Yeah.
Has connection with the sustainability. I think the digital passport is very important for take this regulation.
Yeah. There's of course different opinions on this, because on one hand, there's of course the opinion that adding now what's going to be like, there's going to be for sure a bit of a messy moment, right, where companies will have to figure out the best way to do it. Some of them will make mistakes, and some people say, okay, maybe this digital product passport will actually increase a lot of costs and will make it very difficult for companies to be able to actually respond to the regulation. But at the same time, a lot of people that are pro it, of course, they are saying that it creates like a leveling field for all companies to know what to do, so that everyone has, so sustainability becomes, first of all, a fair game for everyone, so that overall all of society can benefit out of it. And then secondly, of course, then if the company is smart, it can implement solutions like a Voltic together with this, you can integrate it into your into your connection to the end consumer. You can even benefit more from it, as well as on the sustainability side. We also have companies that currently are even going further with us and the different projects that we do together that go even more on the sustainability angle. But of course, it's a decision of also what is the mission of the company and where do you want to take it with your consumer and with your stakeholders. Yeah.
Well, I think no, this is voluntary. This is a regulation, and they conflict because one hand is to benefit to the consumer, but the other is the benefit to the manufacturers. In fact, a new tariff classification that will come into force in the 2026 is based on sustainability. The implementation of the digital passport will be very important for this implementation. It's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, also my opinion, but of course I'm, I'm on that side with that.
Ok, bueno, abrimos los micrófonos. La verdad que este es un tema muy importante y sí vamos a tener un impacto como sociedad, como país y como importadores, exportadores e incluso como distribuidores o vendedores de nuestros productos. Yo no sé aquí si tengan alguna pregunta. La verdad es que este tema es súper importante para nosotros y es algo en lo que creo que tenemos que irnos preparando como industria.
Ignacio está aquí.
Adelante, Ignacio.
Yes. Hello, Pietro, and it is very interesting topic, the one that you're saying. It's very innovative for us, and I have two questions. I'm going to put a few premises on the table so that you work on the point later. But well, for us and for everyone, sustainability has a cost. No, it's not very affordable for many companies. No. It makes the production and the products expensive, and not everyone can embrace and afford sustainability fully. No, so this is a challenge for many of us. No, my first question would be with the digital passport. and all the restrictions and the openness in terms of the supply chain and all the milestones, aren't we limiting globalization with a product like this? This would be my first question. And the second, with the current geographical changes worldwide and the polarization, and the consumer being more, how do you say, more connected to the product, but in a deeper way, aren't we risking the possibility of selling products to our customers in a way that the customer makes the decision not based on the product and if he likes the product or not, but just if it's made in China or in a country where geopolitically he's not aligned to? No, I mean, the problem is that there's too much information. I mean, this can go very, very far away in boundaries, and it can demand later in the future to the companies to provide too much information, so that all this information confuses the consumer and makes the decision based in something else that it's not the product. No? So I'm just putting those two questions. It's very interesting where we're everything that you're saying and you're doing, but those are my two
Thank you
concerns.
so much, Ignacio. Thank you. I think there are two very good questions. I can start addressing the first, maybe Alice can take the second, we'll decide. But when it comes to globalization, I see where you're coming from. So basically the question is, sustainability is a cost, right? Now, if I want to work with European Union, I need to implement these new tools that cost money for me. So since right now, maybe, it's an investment that I'm not planning to do, I prefer not to sell in those countries that require a digital product passport, right? That's basically the point. And I get it. So the reality is that I think that instead would incentivize globalization for one reason, because as mentioned before, brands see sustainability as a cost center, right? Companies, merchants, everyone see sustainability as a cost center, right? While there should be a strategy and a vision, right, that complies, with all the sustainability rules, because we all need sustainability, in order to sustain this planet and life on this planet in general. On the other side, we want to understand, how do we make money out of it, right? I'm investing $1, right, to be sustainable. What do I get back from this $1? That's basically the question. So, as mentioned, that's the reason why companies like Voltic, the reality that the company that I created, exists. So to take sustainability, give it a spin, and turn it into a business opportunity for you. To give you an example, if you decide, Ignacio, tomorrow to start working with Iris and with Pietro, right, you'll have the opportunity to get the whole tracking of the product, being compliant with regulation, and have a unique QR code or NFC chip on the physical product. Then, thanks to my technology, so that's what Iris comes in. Then Pietro comes in and says, oh, you know what, Ignacio? Now I can tell you all the people in Europe, in the European Union, that are buying your product. If we can create campaigns together of customers that are already your customers, to sell them a new product or give them a discount on another product that they can buy from you, right? Or maybe by implementing insurance, for instance, we partner with AIG. So if a product gets damaged, the way we work is that it's not that the insurance company pays Ignacio when the product is stolen or is broken or is lost. No, the insurance company pays the company to give Ignacio a new product. So in this way, every product lost, damaged, or stolen turns into new revenue for you. But the only way that we can make it happen is by applying the QR code and NFC chips that Iris is installing on those products. So she's creating that connection, and she's providing the sustainability part and giving us an access to create a fantastic new tool, a new connection to connect with new clients individually all over the planet. So now, thanks to both technologies combined, you're compliant. You're providing information about your supply chain and how to take care of your products, and you're connecting with every single client to unlock unprecedented value. I hope I replied, Ignacio.
Yes, it's clear. Thank you, Pietro.
Thank you so much.
And can I also take this moment, Ignazio, and I wanted also me to add one part. Yes, of course, the question from your side is Mexico. Why a Mexican brand has to do this? As Arturo said, it's a European community. Who cares about the European community from your side? You sell to US, you sell to South America, you sell to Central America. So you have plenty of your market that is not requesting this. But look to another side, protecting your industry. So you are more or less 34 people now, 30 are representing different districts in Mexico. District that now has a competition of brands that come from abroad. They're cheaper than you. They can offer sometimes more services. So how can you protect your industry? How can you say Hecho en Mexico is the best in a certain way? You can invest tons of dollars, let me say, in marketing and promote Made in Mexico. That's one part. Or what about start to put this in the product? And you can sell everywhere, even because a young generation, millennial Gen Z in Latin America, in Central America, North America, are starting to see the quality, the authenticity. So these are other factors that, since we were talking what Italians are doing, of course, don't copycat. It's not the point. But this is a regulation that is making people thinking, produce less, for example, produce better, put a little bit more margin and markup in the product, for example, because you are truly authentic Mexican, you are not importing from China and maybe just finishing the stitching in Mexico. I'm just putting some of the topic that everybody are talking. Me, that you notice, my life is spent mostly to introduce Made in Italy all over the world. So I'm talking with everybody in the world. Counterfeit. Counterfeit is our biggest problem. And now that we discover, me and Pietro, we were in Dubai, and that was it. The situation was really understanding how to penetrate a market that for us could be a big, enormous opportunity. We discovered that it's a trend in Generation Z to buy fake product and be proud that those are fake. How can you face that? So that's another point. This is the reason we wanted to present you something that at the beginning was sustainability, and then was how can I create a digital passport, and then it was also how can I use a digital passport to promote myself and also to track the consumer. So these are not the, let me say, the answer to your question, but it's something that some more visionary and clever and smart entrepreneurs in Mexico can start to think.
Thank you very much, Orietta. Very, very clear and good point. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Sergio vuole... Grazie.
Iris, Pietro, nice to meet you. Thank you for the information. Iris, this is a hard question. Are companies really worried about sustainability, or is just another marketing trend? That way, like the first one, and the second one, we are talking about luxury brand. We are talking about 350 euros jeans company. There are not so many companies with that sales prices. What happened like with mass market? Are the customers really willing to pay surplus charges to have a traceability on their fabrics, for example?
Yeah, both very interesting questions. And Maybe, I mean, my answer will be like very direct in the sense that it's like, it's not about if brands care about it. Now it has become that they have to do it. So in a way, to stay competitive and to actually stay compliant and be able to sell their products for the European Union specifically. And outside, it's still about competition. It's about what the consumer wants and how you can actually deliver it. So, I mean, in a way, we also now the mass market, and for the second, and I'll combine the two, because most of the time, also the mass market companies have certain needs that are different indeed from luxury brands. And for mass market, it's still going to become a requirement. There are also some European countries that are becoming even more stringent. Like in France, they're even discussing, and it passed in the Senate from the French government, that potentially fast fashion will get a carbon surplus. So actually a product from a fast fashion company, it might, instead of costing 10 euros, it might then cost double, because the company will be required for each specific product to pay like a fine on CO2 and the emission being extra. So there's the economic factor beneath it. It's now requesting also more mass market companies to be compliant. And of course, Sergio, that there's like, we see mass market companies, when they come to us, they tell us, I just want to be compliant. That's what I want to do. I don't want to do anything extra for now, because that's just what I want to do. And of course, a lot of companies are still considering, and I mean, to be also totally transparent and clear with you, a lot of companies are even calculating, does it make more sense for them not to comply and get a fine rather than making the investment in the first place? And out of the calculation, most of them end up in the calculation that it makes more sense for them to comply because of the reputational damage to certain regulations. And for the digital product passport specifically, you cannot choose, so you have to comply. So yeah, that's basically the easy response that I can give. And then if they care, it's of course like it's also personal. If the person who is in charge is actually also caring about the subject, but there's a lot of KPIs in the work. Like even if you look at workforce motivation, new generations, there's a lot of disinvestments that actually play into how you build the companies for the future. So.
Can I add something to what Aris was just saying for you, Sergio? A less politically correct answer than what Aris was providing. At the beginning of the year and last year, let's say, I got in touch with a big group that wanted to do digital product passports, right? And for them, you know, they came to me, say, Pietro, can we use your technology to do digital product passports? I said, look, I don't do the traceability component. He said, but can we call it digital product passport? I said, I mean, if you want to, you know, we can do whatever you want. But the real point is, he said, yes, because we want to communicate it to press before our competitors. So to go back to your point, is it marketing? Sustainability is marketing. You know, is it a trend? The point is that brands right now are using, and have to, as Iris was saying, use what is a mandatory regulation and turn it into business opportunity and get the most out of it, because you have to do it. Whether you want to do it or not, when we speak to companies, you know, usually our approach is at the end of the conversation, whether you want to do it or not, you have to do it. Then you can decide if you want to do it with Darius, you know, then partner with Pietro, you want to do it with, you know, Ion, with other companies. But regardless, you want to build a solution in-house, which is very expensive, you don't have many choices. You have to do it. So what was before, you know, a buzzword, let's say, saying, oh, I want to be sustainable, this product is sustainable, and left and right. Now instead, you know, it's that marketing component is crucial. So before, I agree with you, it was more of a trend and people were using it to sell more. Now they took that trend, became a regulation that is mandatory, and you're forced to turn it into a marketing opportunity for you. So what is that you can get? How can you get the most out of it from a marketing communication standpoint? And let me tell you another thing. One of my clients I've been working with is big Italian fashion luxury brand. Starts with a V. I don't tell the rest of the name. There are a couple you can imagine, but started implementing digital product passport in 2018. Okay, or chips on products that can be actually scanned with information regarding sustainability. Less than 1% of the customer, less than 1% of customers that have a product with an NFC chip or a QR code, then go there and scan it. So you say, oh, I have to invest a lot of money. I have to complain, to comply with the regulation, right? And my clients are not scanning it. Why is that happening? Because they're not playing it right from a marketing standpoint. Because now that you're doing this investment and you have to do it and you have to comply and you have to provide all this information, right? It's also, you also need to find new channels to communicate this to your clients, right? It can be maybe the label itself, it can be the tag on the product, it can be the box, it can be something that you have on the counter, to incentivize this type of behavior that then unlocks more opportunities for you, post-sale. So my less politically correct answer is some brands want to do it for marketing, but it's not something that they can decide if they have to do it or not anymore. I hope I answered.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for this question, Sergio, because even in my opinion, I like to add fast fashion. What about fast fashion? Even fast fashion is working to find a way to follow this. At the beginning, it was completely greenwashing, completely. Now it's becoming a fact. It's a request. The Gen Z is asking. That's important. If they are asking, they need to find some way. In this way, they are not leaving the production, so they still produce overseas in Asia. But even if you produce in Asia, you need to follow so many regulations. I don't know if some of you are familiar in production in China, but when you produce in China now, the Chinese government has put a line in regulation and sustainability. They are really serious. So that's another point. So we as European economy, we cannot stand beyond that. Otherwise, we cannot sell it. And again, we don't represent only luxury. La piccola e media impresa, we call PMI, which means small and medium companies. It's really a big asset of not only Italy, Portugal, Spain, Turkey. So I think they are the 4 countries in Europe. They offer the biggest, let me say, level. And now we have also Hungary, Bulgaria, Romania. They used to be manufacturer, and now they stand with their medium brands with a young generation as well. So I haven't left Germany or France because I don't like them, but in number, they produce more in the other countries. But we can also provide some numbers just to have a measure in how they work.
We also received a fantastic question here from Andrea.
Sorry,
Sergio.
Thank you for the information, Orietta. But at the end, the customer is the one that has the last call. The customer if it's willing to pay like 20% plus for a cotton recycled shirt or a 100% cotton. And maybe we need to have more like education programs in order for the customers to try to understand all this. What is a surplus charge for this, for example, recycled cotton, and not just for a customer like me, like you, for also for the wholesalers, the distributors, that when you arrive with a fabric, a recycled fabric, and they know that it's 20%, the price is higher than 100% cotton, for example, they are not willing to pay those surcharges. So we need to evolve.
Yes, maybe sorry, Pietro, that I jump in this matter. This is a point, very important, recycle. At the beginning, it was, what is sustainability? Is recycle. No, now it's not. Now we want to avoid that. It's a genuine cotton, grow in a specific place without chemical, this, and that. But because in the latest year, many people just created a certification. So this is the reason why having a digital passport, you say, my wool is coming from there. My high-tech material comes from there. It's truly made in this way. Leather has another topic. I also working in the leather industry, that is our main pillar in Italy and also in Mexico. So that's another topic. So is the leather sustainable or not? It's also the way you treat it. It's not that. This is the reason we pass that trend, and now we go into regulations. But consumer has to be educated, and this is the reason why, without connecting this with the language and the communication the consumer want, we cannot achieve that. It's a long road, of course. Pietro, I think you wanted to say something.
No, I saw, thank you so much, Sergio, again, and Marietta. I think that those are great points. I saw this fantastic question from Andrea that I see here.
Yes,
she cannot
go ahead,
turn on the mic. But have you worked with National Association of Representations? Because, of course, for a small company, it seems overwhelming. I agree. Look, there are many players right now on the market that talk about digital passports, how to make it happen. I think, the LVMH group created a new branch, a new company called Aura Consortium. They've been investing millions and millions of dollars that now, are used to support the implementation of this technology and these new processes for big brands. But the point is, the big brand has the team, has the budget, has the time to really sit and think about it. If you think about smaller businesses and small merchants as well, that have to think about opening their shop and selling their products tomorrow, of course, this is not a priority today. It will be a priority the day before the regulation will be enforced in 2027. Because and those artisans are the ones that really deliver the quality. If I think about made in Italy and I think about luxury for me is not Gucci, for all the respect. Gucci is a great brand, so it's a luxury brand, but luxury for me in terms of product is those artisanal shoes that are made, in the heart of Florence, from a small boutique that makes handbags and so on and so forth. So in order to do this, that's the reason why, for instance, we were talking now with the Italian government, right? And something very cool that we're discussing is the creation of digital districts. You have multiple cities, within each city we can create a digital district where many, small merchants and brands, can be fully digitalized. We, as Voltic, for instance, to give you an example, what we did in order to address this issue is we created a technology that anyone can start using within 5 minutes. To work with companies that compete with us, you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, right? To work with us is $150 to start working with us, right? So $150 a month. Why? Because we keep that in mind. Because to me, if you think about the big brands, how many big brands? I look at it from an entrepreneurial standpoint. I'm an entrepreneur, I run a company, right? If I look at the market and I look at the fashion brands and the big luxury brands, you don't have many, and the market is very small. The real opportunity is to support small and medium businesses, not the big brands. So I agree with you because there should be this issue should be addressed at a government level or at an association level, that incentivize and supports, all the companies that want to get on board and be supported, on this regulation, through a common infrastructure, and maybe also access a better deal in terms of cost, for you to implement the technology. Because one thing if you come alone, as a company, one thing if you come with 100 companies, and of course the cost will be cheaper, right? So for everyone, and you can create a standard that is a standard not only for a company but now for an industry, and can generate value for the entire government. Look, to give an example, in the project we presented to the Italian government, there is a concept that we introduced, which is if you buy made in Italy, we can leverage services that are provided in Italy to unlock value for tourism in Italy. Italy is big on tourism, right? Buy made in Italy product, you can collect points, loyalty points, that you can use to redeem vacation in Sorrento, to give you an example, right? But these are things that you can only do to incentivize certain behavior for people to come and buy made in Italy or made in Mexico. Why should they care about buying real made in Mexico, real made in Italy? Because I can unlock something more that is beyond the product. First, I know that I support an ecosystem. I know that I support a country. Second, I can get something back to myself. So I agree with you. It should be at association, government level, as we're doing as well in our conversations. Makes a lot of sense. I really care about this topic. I guess you can see it.
Yes, we are very, I like this because we are very proud, and I like it to have young people be proud of that. I think if someone wants to be in contact with you, Pietro and Iris, can we share your contact? You want to share? I think it's in diretta, for sure. I also share with all of you this Aura Consortium. If you look at inside of Aura Consortium, we're also Prada Group and OTB, which is a diesel group. I like that Pietro took this into the conversation, because Aura Consortium, it's made by France and Italy, 3 big players. And when the big players start, they also support all the little one. Pietro was talking about Gucci. Gucci, a few years ago, they started groups for their laboratories, and they started to participate in the laboratories in a different small manufacturer, sometimes buying the company 40% or 52%, just to give to them the opportunity to improve the technologies and improve all this sustainability action. So sometimes people ask me why Italian industry is working like this. I can have to say that, of course, not every Italian are happy, but most of the French company, both our manufacturers, our tanneries, also our textile companies. And this is because they want to provide technology and support, but in the meantime, they want to support. They also want to be, let me say, the first to provide the raw materials and to provide all the product. In terms of governments, yes, we do have it. We have European government support for small and medium brands, usually, that they want to invest in sustainability, digital passport, traceability, supply chain, technology. And this is, I think we have most of this injection in all of our organizations. So Camera Moda, is one organization, but we also have Confindustria and Confindustria groups, Linea Pelle, Milano Unica, Asso Pellettieri, Asso Calzatorifici. So we have all the other organizations. But I think we can make a session just for that. I think, thank you very much, because we took more than 1 hour, but I knew that this was a topic that everybody wants to go in deep. If anybody has other question, otherwise we will meet next week. We will have another session. And then just for you to know, Pietro and Iris, next year, the delegation will travel to Italy. So maybe will be also a good opportunity to meet. Grazie.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was very interesting to have this conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, and have a good evening in Amsterdam and London, but all the other people has a long day again during. We are going to have aperitif now. It's our closing time, un aperitivo, un drink, un vaso di vino. So adesso si va un po' fuori.
Grazie, ciao, bye bye.
Ciao, ciao, bye bye.
Gracias.
Thank you.
I can remain with Sergio and
Gracias, buen día.
Juro se le gusta, se no. Gracias.